Hi guys, let's model this part in Onshape. It is a little bit advanced. We're going to start by this part that the dimensions are in millimeters, then later modify to form this part. Therefore, we start a new part studio. You can rename maybe part 2.4. Okay, let's go to the first image. This is the top view. There are so many ways you can design this model, but I'm going to use only one method. That is, now I'm going to use now this top view. You can see we have 125 by 100 by 75. Let's first model this profile. Therefore, you can take a screenshot because I want to go back here. Okay, you go to the top view, sketch, normal to you. I need a center line. I like using center lines most of the time. Then we need a line. Then I can mirror this line on this side. Then another line here. I'm using keyboard shortcuts. My favorites 75. Let's double confirm the units first. Units. You're supposed to use millimeters. Let's go back to our sketch and edit. 75. Then this is supposed to be 125. It's supposed to be 100. Then we have, let me go back to image to illustrate this goal. We have this 15. This is the 15 now. 15 on both sides. That is the angle between this line and this and y-axis here. It's supposed to be 15. Therefore, this was supposed to be 90 minus 15. That is 75. You can still use variables, but for now, there's no need. For the center line, you can leave it undefined, or you can always fix this edge. For me, I like making sure that everything is fully defined. That is black. Then you can extrude to any value. Maybe let me use 100, a random value. 100. Okay. Then we need now to model this. You can see this top profile, that is 170. This 170. That's the circular profile. The same side from this section AA. This is 170. Therefore, it means we have now to cut. We cut our top profile using 170. Not 170. I'm going to start by 160. 160. 160. Let's start by 160. Then model this later. Therefore, I can now use various ways. If I go top front, I can use front, or I can use right plane to sketch those profiles. I need one to be, I need an arc like that, and this arc has to be coincident by that last edge and this edge, and this arc this two has to be horizontal. Then this point has to be vertical. Then we need to dimension from this point to this point to be 120, and my arc to be 160. That's fine. Then I can have maybe some random lines here, like that. vertical. You can put a random dimension to make sure that in case this changes, this doesn't affect this height. Because now I want to cut this body using this profile. Then I need a center line because I want to revolve. Because you can see from this image, this one is a revolve. It's like a circular one here, you can see. Therefore, let me go back to the model. I want to revolve the I want to revolve my sketch. Okay. I want to revolve my sketch onto this line, therefore revolve axis to be this. Okay. You can see like that. Then I need to remove. Something happens. You can see what has happened, meaning that we have used a wrong plane. Because you can see now this difference from this, meaning the revolve has to start from back. Therefore, once you make such a mistake, very simple, just go back, edit sketch. Instead of using a front plane, use this back face. Okay, then you edit your sketch. Edit normal, can have normal to you. Okay. Okay. Let me just go back a little bit how it was. Let me use just a plane instead of let me put a plane instead of using a face here. Let me just use a plane instead of a edit sketch. Let me use this plane to maintain my sketch because I have realized my sketch is changing a lot. You can see now I have used the same sketch. I'm using it now on another plane. If I go back now, that's fine. You can see, yeah, you can see we have made the first profile, this bottom profile. I think we can change appearance. We can now edit appearance and now do this. Next step we need now, let me show the first sketch. We need now to model the top section. You can see this top section is an offset of 25. This edge to this edge is an offset of 25 and has a draft of 15. Observe very well, this 25 is from this edge to this top edge. That's fine. Let's now go back here. I need to go back to top plane, sketch. I like hiding the part if I'm not using it. I want to offset this and this. I want to offset by 25, and I want to have a line here, or let me just reuse this so that I can trim. Let me just trim, but Onshape doesn't care. If you don't trim, it still works. Okay, that's my sketch now. There are so many ways, about 3 ways or 4 ways of creating that top section. One is, if you go back to this image, you can see this is 160, this one is 170. Okay, you can see from this point to this point is 50, but this 50 is a driven dimension. You can see it has some brackets. You don't use this, just use 120. This one is just a guideline. From this curve to this have a 10. Therefore, I can let me illustrate only 2 ways. I can extrude this sketch, okay, like that. I can extrude up to face, this face, offset, can offset by 10 opposite direction. That's one way, yeah, of creating that top section, this boss here. Okay, that's one method of doing that. Another method, let me suppress this, is I can use a surface method. I can offset this one by that value of 10. Then I can now extrude my sketch. Let me go back here, interchange. Then I can extrude my face up to this part, like that. If you hide the surface, the same results. Okay. Lastly, you can still model the, let me suppress this. You can also use this 170 if you want to use dimension. If you want to use now dimensions instead of using some mathematics, if you want not to use dimensions, just that, because there are those type of people who like using variables. I can use now maybe 170 is a variable. I can still model a curve on this plane, on my plane here. Sketch, no more. I want now to, the one I used, sketch 2. I want to use a curve, an arc, like that. And I want to use this center. They are sharing the same center, I. Then for the dimension, I want to use 170. Okay, I think something is wrong. It's fully defined. Let me, this point is not supposed to be here, and this, I'm not deleting this point. Again, an arc, like that. These two are coincident. Okay, this and this are vertical. This point vertical, dimension of 170. Okay, that is in case you just want to use dimensions. Still, I can model this curve on this plane, on this side. You can still model on this side, but when you model on this side, you use extrude. When you model on the front plane, use a revolve. That's the differences. Okay, maybe you can try, instead of modeling your arc on the front side, model your arc on right side here, then use extrude. You're going to get the same results. Therefore, I want to use now a revolve surface. It's a surface because it's a line axis of this axis, like that. But I don't need full. I can use 2 directions or 1 direction. I can use this one to be 60, or let me just use, let me see, this to be, yeah, that's fine. Then I can now take my sketch. Where's my sketch here? You go back to 3. Okay, let me now take my sketch. Okay, like that. No worries, I'm just illustrating another method you can use also to use up to part, like that. Still you get the same results. Then you can always delete this, delete revolve 2. You can now, maybe let me hide for now. You see I'm getting the same results. Therefore, let me just now stick on our method of offset. Therefore, I have to delete all of this. Delete. I want to use offset method here and suppress. Okay, where's our sketch? I think we deleted our sketch by mistake. Sketch 3. Okay, let's go here. Sketch 3. That's fine. I don't need this. I can delete it. I don't need this. I can delete. I have my sketch 3. I have my extrude here and suppress. That's fine. This one is edit. I'm using up up to face, I'm using an offset method. Let me delete this. Let me unsuppress this. This one is using up to, up to part surface 1. This surface 1 is an offset surface here. Offset surface. Let's use offset surface method. Okay, Onshape is very powerful. There's so many ways of modeling this. Next is we need now to draft by 15. Draft. Therefore, you have to use draft now. I'm going to use two. There's two types of draft: a neutral plane and a parting line. Neutral plane. If you use a neutral plane and select maybe front, top. If you select these entities to draft, I want you to see what happens. If I select that and I go top here, you see now this one, they are very different from this. You can see this gap now becomes longer. It's supposed to be 25, but now this becomes longer. If you select from this point to this point, it's 45. You can see here. This because whenever you draft using a neutral plane, it drafts this face, it extends the face to that plane and it makes that angle. That's that. This face extends to that plane. Therefore, instead of using a parting neutral plane, using parting line. Okay, parting line ensures that whatever you select remains unchanged. It remains neutral. The pull direction is still top, but now the parting edges, it makes sure that whatever you select doesn't change. This doesn't change. Okay, let me repeat this step. I want to use a parting line. Let me use one by one for now. This line and this line, like that. Okay, if you go top, you have to change this to the top plane as your pull direction. You have to be very careful. This one has let me see what's happening. You have to pull. I'm pulling outside. Yeah, that's fine. Let me just draft one by one. Then draft this. Pull direction is supposed to be top. Entities to draft is, I want to select now this edge. Not I want to select this edge instead of face. Let me create selection. Edges. I want to select this edge, and this edge. Add selection here. Sorry, you're supposed to select parting line, top plane, the edge here, that edge, and this edge. The edge remains neutral. You're using a value of 15. Same case applies here. 15. Now, if I go top now, if from this edge to this edge becomes supposed to be, now if you go top, this edge, if let me suppress the draft first. I want to suppress. You see this edge does not change. You see this edge does not change. Let me unsuppress. Just observe. That edge does not change because I'm using a parting line as my when creating a draft. Then we need a fillet of how many? A fillet of 6 and 10. Okay, let's go. A fillet of 6 and 10. You can use create selection, go to edges here, use equal, then select just this edge. It selects the other one, this selects the other one. That is equal, you can see. If you have so many edges you want to select, can you always use this one. This one is a very important tool thanks to Onshape. Okay, now select. Now you can always go back here again, create selection, edges, use tangent connected or loop. Disadvantage of using a loop, let's see what happens. Let me use tangent connected, that's best, to select all the top edges and these edges like that. You can press shift enter. If you want to retain this, you can always use a shift enter. Lastly, we need, this one is supposed to be a 4mm. We need now to shell, select shell 4mm like that. That's fine. And we have finalized our first model. Now the second model is, we are going to edit the first model to form this. As you can see now, most of the things have not changed, but this profile has changed. You can see it's 20 by 20. Only this others has remained constant 25. You have to change this. This one is now a bit complex, but simple to solve. Whenever you have such a task and you want to modify a current model, always go back and go back here, route here, and modify stepwise. That's fine. Revolve, that's fine. That doesn't change. What changes now is this one changes. You can see here, you can see it goes back. Therefore, I need not to model this 20 by 20 here on my part. Therefore, before now I have not to go back like that. Instead of using this surface, let me show the surface. Instead of using this surface, I want now to create a new surface on right plane, new sketch, like that. Let me see from my model here. This one's supposed to be 20. This point, vertical, supposed to be horizontal because it's along y yeah. Oh no, it's along z axis, supposed to be vertical. Sorry for that. All this line, this point coincident. Dimension from this point, dimension from this point to this point to be 20. Okay, let me delete this first, this coincident. Okay, now let me use just a line here instead of using, so that to make sure my model is stable, to make sure my sketch is stable, use vertical. Yeah, that's fine. Use for construction, dimension is to be 20. Yeah, that's fine. Why am I typing 10 to 0? Okay, then from this to this to be 20, like that. Then maybe you can use a random, or you can fix this, you can fix that. Okay, it seems you can't do that. Let me just define it to be 150. Next thing we need now is to extrude a surface like that. This surface, use that line, and I want to use symmetry. I want to use 100. Let me use longer a little bit like that. Yeah, that's fine. Then I want to delete. I don't need this one. I don't need it. I want not to see this sketch. This sketch, I want to edit extrude 3 to bring an error because you have extruded. We have deleted the reference surface here, missing part. Now replace this missing part by this part, like that. Okay. Then you can easily cannot delete this. But before you delete, I want to reuse. You can see something here is happening. I want not to remove this top section because our image doesn't have this. You can see the back section here, it is. Therefore, there are various ways to remove this. Let me use just a simplest one for now. I want not to move boundary of this. Yeah, I want to extend that surface like that. Then the purpose of doing that is I want to cut, to split this body. I want to split this part using the surface like that because I want to delete this top section. I want to delete it, yeah, like that. Therefore, and then I want to delete that body. But you see what happens? See what happens when you use that method? If you go back to the image, I want to go back to the image here. You can see they look a bit different. This one's supposed to be like this. Therefore, let's see what happens if once I shell. Let me do a quick shell without even using the draft thing. You can see they are very different. Therefore, this method can't work because the main purpose is not to delete that back section, is to make this type of continuous cutout. Okay. The best way, let me down illustrate the best way to do that. I want to go back here, delete everything, delete this spread line. Yeah. Next thing is I want now to, instead of doing that, I want to use this sketch and extrude and extrude. Use the sketch 3. You extrude up to, let me use up to part. Okay. You offset. Let me use maybe 50. Let's see what happens on the other side, like that. Then I want to remove. If you now select remove, it becomes a hollow. No worries. You can perform this in 2 operations. I can first remove. Let me hide this plane. I can first remove, then repeat the same method using the same sketch and extrude up to part and select the part here up to this part, and we form our. In case now you shell, that's fine. This is what we need. But we see I've used 2 features. How can you minimize this? Let's see how you can try to minimize. Let me edit this. Instead of using that method of using 2 features, you can always use a second edit position. You can say up to part, to this part. Whenever you have operation for the remove, you can always use this method. But you see now we have an error. This means there's something wrong. Let me see what happens when I swipe this. Then first of all unselect up to. Let me now change this like that. Then if I go to second edit position, I want now to draft, let me up to part. That's downward, up. Okay, let me use maybe 60. Okay, if you select add or new, it becomes that direction. Okay, then I can use this also another method of new, whereby on the second position here, second position, edit position, up to part, this part on opposite direction, like that. Okay, you can do this method still and use boolean and extract this common section. Okay, you see now I'm now extruding this one up to this surface. You can see I can also use this. I can subtract this my tool, this my target. That's another method. You can use this. Let me hide the surface. You can see we are getting the same result. Lastly, let's try using the other method. So I want to use the method of remove, edit, remove. You can now still remove. What have I done? I'm removing, whenever you use remove, and whenever the offset the second edit position and first edit position, whenever you remove in the same direction, you can see these arrows are facing the same direction for the first edit position and second edit position. Whenever you have two negatives, it becomes additive. That's the reason why it doesn't remove this material here, because I'm on the same direction. But if I change, you can see what happens. Therefore, that's a tip for you to keep in mind. So you can see I've used about 3 ways of cutting that section. Last three, I want not to roll one by one. I know I'm going to delete these two. I'm going to delete this. Let me suppress this. I don't think I'm going to use it. I don't think I'm going to use the sketch now. Now for the draft, let's see what happens for the draft. Draft 1 is fine. That's the reason why I separated the draft to have the draft 1 for the bottom, draft 2 for the top. See what happens. But now we need not to edit. Why? Because we need to add these two edges. Therefore, I want to select this edge and select this edge. But you see what happens whenever I select an edge. Instead of doing that, I want now to draft again, parting line, pull direction. I want to use top, parting line. I want to use this edge and this edge. Sometimes you have to draft to perform different drafts to have a successful draft. You can see from top, we are now making this. You can see we have achieved this now from top view. Lastly, we need now to go back to the fillet. Our fillet 1, that's fine. Fillet 2, missing something. Let's see what is missing there. It is missing an edge here. What else? Yeah, I want now to use this edge. Let me troubleshoot an missing edge. Okay, okay, that's fine. And this edge has some errors. Remove it for now. Even remove this for now. Even remove this. This edge has something. Let's remove it. Let's see what happens. If it doesn't solve, you can always create a new fillet. Just 1 second here. You can always go to selected selection, edges, tangent connected, that one, this edge, and this edge, just like that. Remove the edge that has an error. Let me create selection. Let me start by this and this one here. Let me separate these fillets for ease of troubleshooting. Okay, let me unselect tangent propagation for now, and I want to use this face. I think sometimes it's wise to select one by one where necessary. Doesn't hurt having so many fillets. Okay. Yeah. Lastly, we go back to shell. Yeah. We have managed to model a part, but I don't like these fillets. Just try to fix them on your side. Maybe you can try maybe start filleting on this side first. Sometimes the order of fillets is very important. Just try to fix on your side. But that's how you can model this part in Onshape. Yeah. And if you want to give them a color code, you can always go to the fillets here, you can select them. You can add appearance to 2 and select whatever you want to add, like that. This one was a very good example to use Onshape. Thank you and stay tuned for more such videos.